This is Valley News Live at noon.
Fargo police are still investigating 3 shootings from over the weekend. The latest one was called in as a vandalism. It was yesterday morning around 2:30 from the 100 block of North University Drive. Police found glass from a front door of a business that had been broken. Then they spotted evidence of shots fired. A short time later, they got a call about a shooting victim who showed up at a local ER. The person's injuries are not critical. No word on any arrest in that case yet. Fargo police are also looking to ID a suspect in a shooting that happened just after midnight Saturday morning near 33rd Street and 35th Avenue South. Everyone had left that area by the time officers got there. Police then got word that a 39-year-old man was being treated at the hospital for a gunshot wound to his arm. And then a few hours after that shooting, another call, this time in the 100 block of North Broadway, where police found a victim who was shot in the back end. The suspect is a black man between 25 and 30 years old. He may be traveling in a red vehicle. If you have any information on any of those shootings, you're urged to contact Fargo police. Our crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley is looking into these multiple shootings as well as several other unsolved shootings in recent weeks with what police investigators and the community have to say about it. She'll have that story tonight on Valley News Live. We want to now switch gears to our weather this morning. I think it is a very pleasant day out there. Some folks might still find it just a bit chilly for this early in August. Lisa Green is in with a check of our forecast. Good afternoon, Lisa.
Well, good afternoon. We're warming things up. That sun is making a difference too. Being in the sunshine, you really notice that warming. And we've got plenty of it. Just a couple of clouds here in Fargo showing up on our sky cam at the station here in South Fargo. And temperatures already warmer than what we got to yesterday in most areas. We're at 71 degrees in Fargo. It's 77 in Grand Forks and in Jamestown. A few more clouds in Bemidji at 67. And we're looking at some low 70s in Fergus Falls and in Devil's Lake. So a nice start to the afternoon. And taking a look at your radar and satellite picture, not much to show. Just a couple of clouds moving through the valley, and that's it. We are quiet here for today. So let's take a look at our pool planner. Yesterday would not have been a very fun day out at the pool with temperatures in the 60s. But as we go through the afternoon, you can see we're going to warm up into some more 70s, maybe even some of us, I think eastern North Dakota especially, topping in the low 80s. We do cool down heading into this evening, but not as much as last night. So we've got some warmer air taking over, and that's going to set us up for our Tuesday for some hotter temperatures. So more on that to come and how the entire week is shaping up for us as well, coming up in your forecast.
Okay, a few things to go over, Lisa. Thank you. A Montana man who was standing in the middle of a North Dakota highway late at night is dead after being hit by an SUV. The Highway Patrol says that man was on Highway 83 just south of Minot around 10 last night when a driver came upon him and then couldn't avoid hitting him. 58-year-old Yvonne Wolleman and her passenger were not hurt, and the crash report indicates no charges are being filed against her. The victim is a 36-year-old man from Missoula, Montana. Troopers plan to release his name after notifying family. Minnesota voters are heading to the polls tomorrow to decide who moves forward for the November general election. Early voting for Tuesday's primary is already underway. Among the races in tomorrow's primary for Minnesota are the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and secretary of state. School referendums in Ulen, Hitterdal, and Crookston are also on the ballot. The Democrat-controlled Senate has delivered President Joe Biden a major legislative win, a multi-billion-dollar spending bill focused on health care and climate change. The victory comes after months of negotiations and a marathon weekend session. The Inflation Reduction Act invests nearly $370 billion in climate and energy investments. It also allows Medicare to negotiate high-cost prescription drugs. The bill is estimated to lower the deficit by $300 billion.
I look back at my service in the Senate, I'll think about this legislation as one of the most consequential things that I had the chance to work on.
The bill is paid for with new tax provisions, including a 15% minimum tax on large companies and increased IRS enforcement. The legislation now heads to the U.S. House with a vote expected on Friday. The CDC is expected to relax COVID restrictions for schools with only weeks before some students head back to class. CBS News obtained a draft report showing some changes to COVID testing and social distancing. Schools were previously considered a ground zero for COVID transmission, and they implemented strict rules. Now all children are able to get a COVID vaccination, likely reducing the severity if a COVID infection happened. President Joe Biden is now COVID-free and heading to Kentucky today to survey the storm damage from the flooding that killed nearly 40 people. Dan Lieberman has the latest.
In COVID and just be able to wrap our arms around them and say, we got you.
In the aftermath of the worst flooding in Kentucky's history, state parks have become safe havens for hundreds of people. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear paying a visit to meet with some of them over the weekend.
Don't give up. Don't give up. This is hard times right now, but I promise you, whatever has happened during this time, keep your heads up and we will build back up.
At least 37 people have died in the Kentucky deluge that dropped as much as 10.5 inches of rain in just 48 hours.
Our creek systems, they can't handle another inch. They can't handle another quarter of an inch.
President Biden expanded federal aid to Kentucky, with FEMA providing more than $3 million in relief funds, and hundreds of rescue personnel have been deployed to help.
We need some dry days. That's what we need.
While people try to stay hopeful, the threat of flooding goes on. Dan Lieberman, CBS News, New York.
The National Weather Service says flooding remains a threat through Thursday. The president will visit today. That's his second visit to Kentucky during his presidency. This last December, he went after tornadoes killed 77 people. Putting the brakes on booze coming up at noon. How supply chain issues could impact your favorite brew. But next, we're heating up after a very cool start to our Monday. Lisa Green has the full forecast.